Hey guys, I'm sure many of you have heard by now that Caroll Spinney passed away today, and I just wanted to do a quick little video to talk about him and the effect he's had on my career and my life. I'm sure there'll be other videos that are tributes where you can learn about his work with the Jim Henson Company and other tributes to his work with Sesame Street. But I also want to talk a little bit about how his work as an artist has inspired me as well. A lot of people might not realize this, but he's actually was an amazing painter and really skilled at drawing, which was a big inspiration to me as an art teacher and as an artist. Thinking about what's the best way to talk about how he has inspired me, and again, in my teaching and even my puppetry. And I remembered that I had actually sent him a letter about 7 or 8 years ago, right when I got out of college. And I found it deep into my computer, and I thought I'd read it for you guys today. I'll read it right now. Caroll Spinney. Hello. I'm 24 years old and just graduated this year with a degree in art education to be an art teacher. In my lessons, I've used puppetry to motivate and teach my students. I also have created lessons that involve students making puppets while they learn about famous puppeteers and how to do puppetry. One of my favorite lessons to teach is one that I created about you and your artwork. In this lesson, I unmask Big Bird and inform the students about some of your life experiences. The students learned that you were a commercial artist and animator before you went on to work for Jim Henson's Muppets. They also discovered that while in the Air Force, you wrote and illustrated Harvey, a comic book strip about military life. I've read your book, The Wisdom of Big Bird, and cannot wait for your documentary, I Am Big Bird, to be released. You've had an opportunity to do so much. The people you've met, traveling all over the world, I am a fan of your work. Your life is so interesting, and I feel as though I can relate to you in so many ways. As an artist, educator, puppeteer, I can even relate to your personal life. I have someone in my life that is like Deb. Maria and I have been together for the past 10 years. She's brought out the best in me, and I know that without her, I would not be who I am today. I thought you might like to see some of my lessons I teach to my students. So I included a copy of my portfolio. Some of my own artwork can be found in there as well. I hope you enjoy looking through it. If you could fit it in your schedule, I'd like to meet you someday. It would add a lot to my lessons, having first-hand experience and seeing what it's like behind the scenes. Thank you for your time. Magically, Adam Krutinger. So, yeah, I was 24 years old at that point, so that was about 7 or 8 years ago, right when I got out of college. And I sent that letter, not expecting necessarily to get anything back. I thought maybe he'd see it and think it was nice and look at it. But I actually got a response from him, and it was a beautiful letter, and I have it right here. It was a handwritten card. I'm going to show it to you right now. It's got these cute little animals on it. And he has a little pencil sketch of Big Bird that he did on the back. And I'll read it to you right now. So this came close to about a year later, maybe about 10 months later, in 2013. And look right at the top there, he has another drawing of Big Bird that he painted and inked. Dear Adam, I was just looking at some of the dozens of letters I have not had time to deal with, and came upon yours with the excellent portfolio you sent. Wow, what talent you have displayed in there. Your puppet building is superb. Well, it's not been long, but the wonderful puppetry of Kevin Clash has been replaced by a young man named Ryan, who was already working for the Henson Company for Sesame Street. They usually try to use someone who is already in-house. Jerry Nelson passed away last August, and Matt Vogel, who has been with us for about 20 years. And it was he whom I chosen to be Big Bird's stand-in. He's the one who now does The Count. He's a better puppeteer than I do hope, however, to complete 50 years of Big Birding and Oscar before I hang up this job. 5 years to go. Matt also directs and works on other TV puppet shows. We'll be starting to tape on the 45th year in mid-September. Please give me a ring after the 17th of September to see if you can watch a taping. And then he left his phone numbers, and it says, warmly, Caroll Spinney. This meant a lot, getting this letter. It was, I was very touched that he had nice things to say and was able to invite me. And I remember at that time in my life, unfortunately, I did not go to Sesame Street, and I still haven't been to a taping or anything. But the reason why I didn't follow up with him, even though he had requested it in that letter, is that very year, it had been a year since I had heard from him, and right at that time that I got that letter, I just got my first job as an art teacher. And so, of course, coming in September, I had to teach. And the 17th and around that was the beginning of the school year, and it was my first year and my first job, and there was no way I was going to be able to get time off. And I do definitely regret that I didn't get a chance to follow up with him regarding this letter. However, I did meet him briefly a few years later, kind of in passing at the Puppeteers of America festival when it was in Connecticut. Again, I didn't bring up the letter. There was a big long line of people there, but so I didn't want to bother him. I just shook his hand and nice to meet you type of thing. But again, I was so touched that he was so kind to respond, and let alone this long handwritten letter with these beautiful little custom drawings in there. It really, really meant a lot to me, and I cherish this letter very much. One thing that's really fun about getting into the world of puppetry and learning about people who have worked with in big productions like that is seeing the person behind the puppet, and with Caroll, he has just had such an amazing life as an artist and as an educator and everything, and that's really what has inspired me the most about him. And it's something that I really want to share with my students, and with this channel as well. I think of this as an educational channel for people who want to learn about puppetry, whether it's from our interviews or other tutorials on how to make a puppet. And and I think the best way to carry on Caroll Spinney's legacy is to, of course, remember him and his contribution to the world, but also just to help inspire other people to be creative and to make art, whether that art is puppetry or whether that art is drawing or dancing or anything at all. And to me, that's kind of what Big Bird symbolizes, because Big Bird was a character who liked to learn anything and to try new things. And I think that's what we all have to try to do as well, is we all have to try to be big birds, which is why I think the title of his documentary, which did come out a couple of years ago, I Am Big Bird, is a really good, not only good title, but actually it's almost a good thing to aspire to, like I want to try to be Big Bird in that way, and always trying new things. And I think you should too. But that's it for now, and all right, spread the love, spread the art, guys.